Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever thought you were making a smart financial move, only to look back months later and realize it was quietly bleeding your wealth? I did, and it stung. Years ago, I was convinced I'd found the ultimate passive income strategy. I was stacking high-yield ETFs like trophies. Monthly payouts looked great. On paper, I was crushing it. But behind the scenes, my portfolio was shrinking. Slowly, quietly, month after month. What I didn't realize then was this. Most high-yield investments are just financial illusions. The income feels good, but the price you pay is your principal. It's like scooping water out of a sinking boat, while smiling about how full your bucket looks. I learned the hard way. Not all yield is created equal. Now here's the twist. After years of deep research and some brutal lessons, I discovered a small group of ETFs that actually break this rule. They deliver 15% to 33% yields. And they don't just protect your principal. Many of them have grown it. In today's video, I'm going to share 5 ETFs that flip the script for me, and might just do the same for you. This isn't one of those clickbait lists where you're fed hype and hope. You'll see real numbers, real returns, and a smarter way to think about income in today's market. If you're someone who wants financial freedom without lighting your savings on fire to get it, this might be the most important video you watch all year. Let's talk about the fantasy most income investors fall for, and how to finally escape it. The shocking truth about high-yield ETFs. Let's be real. High-yield ETFs sound like the dream, right? You invest, sit back, and watch the income roll in month after month. Feels like you're getting paid to exist. No complex options trading. No late nights watching stock tickers. Just pure passive income. But here's the uncomfortable truth no one tells you. Most high-yield ETFs are wealth traps. They're engineered to look generous on the outside, monsieur, but under the hood, they're quietly draining your account. Here's what actually happens. You invest $10,000, you start receiving juicy monthly dividends. But behind the scenes, the value of your ETF is decaying. Not because the market tanked, but because the very strategy that gives you the income is also selling the future of your capital. This is something I watched happen to a friend. He was hyped. Had $15,000 in one of those popular covered call funds. He thought he'd found the cheat code. 9 months later, half gone. Half. His income didn't come from profits. It came from his own investment being paid back to him in slices. And here's what made it worse. No one warned him. Not the videos, not the articles, not the forums. Because no one wants to talk about NAV decay until it's too late. What makes these 5 ETFs different? But here's the good news. Not all high-yield ETFs are structured to self-destruct. Some, a rare few, are designed with protection and performance in mind. I call them yield builders, not yield burners. After digging through over 200 ETFs, analyzing strategies, options premiums, total returns, and historical distributions, I found 5 that completely flipped the narrative. These 5 don't just pay you monthly, or in one case, weekly. They've also shown the ability to grow your capital. Even in sideways markets. What makes them different? It comes down to 3 key things. Smart use of volatility. These ETFs don't just collect yield blindly. They harness volatility in sectors like tech or crypto to generate option premiums with real upside potential. Capital resilience. They're not dumping core assets to pay you. Their strategies are designed to preserve or even grow NAV over time. Consistency of payouts. These aren't gimmicks. Most of these funds have a track record of stable, predictable income that you can actually plan around. Look, they're not magic. Every investment comes with risk. But these 5 ETFs, they've outperformed the pack by doing something rare in the income world. Delivering returns without robbing your future. Stick with me, because in the next section, I'll show you the first ETF that changed how I think about monthly income forever. And if you're someone who wants to get paid while still growing wealth, this next one might become the cornerstone of your entire portfolio. ETF number 1, QQQI NASDAQ Income Without Sacrifice. Let's start with the ETF that I personally call my monthly income engine. QQQI, a covered call ETF built on the NASDAQ 100. On paper, it offers about a 15.35% annual yield. But here's what caught my attention, and eventually my investment. It's up over 27% since inception. That's the kicker. Most high-yield ETFs lose value while paying you. QQQI has managed to grow while delivering consistent monthly payouts, and not just a few pennies. We're talking roughly 60 cents per share per month. Real money. Real consistency. How? It's built on a simple, effective idea. Take the top 100 non-financial tech and growth companies, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, and overlay a systematic covered call strategy. That means QQQI collects premiums from selling call options on these stocks, which generates monthly income, without touching the principal. It's not flashy, it's not complicated, but it's reliable. That's why I'm stacking shares with a long-term goal of 2,000. Because for every $10,000 invested, you're looking at $1,535 a year in passive income, and that income shows up every single month. For anyone chasing yield but still wanting to hold growth sectors, QQQI is an incredibly smart foundation. ETF number 2, BTCI, Bitcoin's volatility turned into cash. Now, this next ETF might sound insane to traditional investors, and I get it. Crypto and income don't usually belong in the same sentence. But BTCI does something most funds can't. It converts Bitcoin's chaos into 30% plus annual yield, and it's doing it consistently. At first I was skeptical. Bitcoin as income? But when I saw BTCI delivering average monthly payouts around $1.40 per share, I had to take a deeper look. Here's what makes it work. BTCI writes covered calls on Bitcoin futures. That's right. It leverages Bitcoin's extreme volatility, collects massive premiums, and turns them into monthly distributions. This isn't about believing in Bitcoin's long-term future. It's about harnessing short-term volatility to generate cash flow. And guess what? The total return since inception is pushing 60%. I started small. I now buy it weekly in one of my smaller portfolios. It's not for the faint-hearted, but if you understand the mechanism, it's an income machine like no other. ETF number 3, MAGI. Weekly paychecks from the Magnificent Seven. If there's one ETF that feels like a cheat code, it's MAGI. Imagine getting paid not monthly, but weekly. Every Friday. Like a second job that doesn't require showing up. MAGI writes covered calls on the Magnificent Seven. Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, Nvidia, Tesla, and Google. These are the titans of tech, and also some of the most volatile stocks on the market. MAGI capitalizes on that volatility, writing weekly options and paying you out every 7 days. Here's the headline. 34% annual yield, with weekly distributions between 27 cents and 47 cents per share. That's right, your portfolio becomes a weekly paycheck system, and it's not just yield. MAG has returned 13% since inception, which is impressive considering the aggressive payout model. And for people like me, who love growth but want that steady cash flow, MAGI feels like the best of both worlds. It's fast, fluid, and powerful. ETF number 4, BITY. Crypto plus income equals balanced growth. Let's say BTCI feels too intense. You like the idea of crypto income, but you don't want to be glued to the charts every day. Enter BITY. This ETF offers a 24% annual yield. Still high, but with a calmer, more balanced strategy. It combines Bitcoin exposure with a structured income plan through options premiums. Think of it as BTCI's more mature sibling. Since inception, BITY has returned 15% while delivering steady quarterly income. It's a growth plus income hybrid. Instead of just betting on Bitcoin's price, you're earning along the way and still holding upside potential if Bitcoin rallies. If you're crypto curious but not ready for the full ride, BITY is a very strategic middle ground. ETF number 5, BAG, max yield, max frequency. All right, if QQQI is your reliable engine and BTCI is your wildcard, BAG is your rocket launcher. BAG, Amplify Bitcoin Max Income ETF, writes weekly covered calls on Bitcoin futures, just like BTCI but at an accelerated frequency. The result? A staggering 32% annual yield. But here's the twist. Because it's weekly, you're capturing premium 4 times a month instead of once. That's high-frequency income, and it makes a big difference in compounding. BAG has returned about 15% since launch, and it's designed to pull in weekly cash from one of the most volatile assets in the world. Now listen, this isn't a core holding. It's not where you put half your portfolio. It's a satellite strategy for people who understand crypto, understand options, and want to squeeze the most out of short-term volatility. Personally, I keep a modest position, but the yield impact is massive. My personal allocation strategy. Let's be clear, just because these ETFs offer insane yields doesn't mean you should go all in. That's a mistake I see way too often. People find one fund they love, they dump 40% of their portfolio into it, and when volatility hits, they're left wondering what went wrong. Here's how I personally allocate. I treat high-yield ETFs like these as tools, not the entire toolbox. Roughly 15% of my portfolio is dedicated to these 5 ETFs, diversified across tech, crypto, and hybrid plays. That gives me strong monthly and weekly income, without putting my entire future on the line. Here's a rough breakdown. 5% in QQQI, my foundation, 3% in MAGI for weekly cash flow, 3% in BTCI and BITY combined, targeted crypto exposure with income, 1 to 2% in BAG, aggressive yield satellite. The rest of my portfolio is still in long-term index funds, dividend growth stocks, and a few select growth plays. Balance matters. Think of these income ETFs like amplifiers, not anchors. Reinvesting those distributions, that's where the magic compounds. I use them to either buy more shares or diversify further. Every dollar is working again by the end of the month. The tax angle you must know. All right, let's talk about the thing nobody wants to deal with. But you must if you're serious about growing wealth: taxes. Here's the truth. Most of the income from these high-yield ETFs is taxed as ordinary income, not qualified dividends. Translation? You could be paying a much higher tax rate on your distributions, especially if you're earning over $44,000 a year as an individual or $89,000 as a married couple. This isn't passive income at long-term capital gains rates, it's taxed like your paycheck. So what do? Plan ahead. You've got 3 smart options. Hold them in tax-advantaged accounts like a Roth IRA or traditional IRA if eligible. Track your distributions and set aside estimated taxes quarterly. Don't get blindsided in April. Work with a CPA to see how these ETFs fit into your overall strategy. This is what separates smart investors from reactive ones. Income is great, but after-tax income is what actually builds wealth. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this. You don't have to choose between growth and income. For years, we were told that it's either buy growth stocks and wait 30 years, or buy high yield and watch your capital bleed. But that's a false choice. The ETFs we've covered today prove that you can get paid generously while still growing your money, if you know what to look for. This is the strategy I wish I'd known 10 years ago. It would have saved me thousands in mistakes and given me the clarity to stop chasing shiny objects and start building a real, sustainable financial future. And that's what Golden Goals is all about. Financial strategies that actually work for real people in the real world. And if this video gave you clarity, if it helped you avoid a yield trap or showed you a smarter path forward, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to Golden Goals, where we break down real strategies with real numbers for real people. This is Mike, and I'll see you in the next one.